Anyone else think this is a little cringe? Cringe culture's dead, thank God, but like, this feels like they're trying too hard. It's corporate millennial trying to talk to Gen Z out of touch. You know? Hello and welcome back to another MOTU review. Today we're taking a look at the Mattel Creations Masters of the Universe Cross VeeFriends Skeletor Skilled Skeleton 2-Pack. I'm not doing my usual opening because this isn't your usual box. And normally I don't even bother, but this is actually really nice and I want to talk about it because both sides have split artwork. You get wraparound on this side though, and it does show a Filmation style Snake Mountain. Then up on the top you get character bios, which are unique to this, talking about the other character, which ties into the mini comic this comes with, which we'll get into. And on the bottom you do get VeeFriends and that, and also a thing here that says that the glow in the dark on this is don't expose to direct sunlight for prolonged periods of time. Place approximately 5 feet away from a light source for 30 seconds. The glow's not that good, guys. Like, anyway, the really neat thing about this box, whoa, jiggly. The really neat thing about this box is that you take it and you open it up, and it actually stops. You can't take these sides off, and you could, if you wanted, display it like this. So this is also collector-friendly, mostly, packaging, so well, I mean, you have to cut the things holding them in, which is a little annoying, but aside from that, collector friendly. Also, falls out very easily. You do get some more art up top, which is nice, including a tiny land shark, which is cute. You just take this piece off, which is a little foreground element, and also thinking about it, if you wanted to, you could probably have them displayed in here with this in front of it, and it would look really good. But from here on out, it's just the usual take it out of the box thing, so let me clear this up and we'll talk about the actual figures. Alright, now that we got them out of the box, we can start off, as always, with the articulation. Skeletor is the usual Origins buck of barbell neck, swivel hinge shoulders, elbows. Ooh, that's a bit of a nasty num mark. And wrists, rotation at the waist, kind of ball joint hips. They're on ball joints, but the thing is, it's pretty much just an up and down with a little bit of rotation. Though these have slightly better forward movement than the original buck. A unbelievably tight knee. Come on. 2 clicks for 90 degrees, which is nice. And again, ridiculously tight. Boot cut. And the forward back with the offset peg swivel for the ankle. As for the skilled skeleton, the head is on a very deep set ball joint in there, and oof, that's a long neck. Shoulders are swivel hinges, wrists are swivel hinges, hips are translucent enough I probably should be able to see, but I'm going to assume ball joints. And the ankles are front to back and swivel, though front to back on these ankle hinges are stupidly tight. At least on mine. So obviously the Filmation figures are going to have the same articulation, though slightly better than the original buck, but little VeeFriends buddy here is more of a desk toy kind of thing. Anyway, let's get into the accessories. Starting off with the mini comic, which is sitting on top of the box in the mailer box, which is a little bit weird, but I guess they didn't want it to get lost somewhere, and they couldn't exactly stick it in behind these guys. There's a lot of reading going on here, but there's some really good faces in this one. They sort of played fast and loose a bit, and you got some good expressions. Also, they do make fun of the corn cob sword, which is pretty funny. My friend pointed out this kind of looks like a boglin, which, I mean, I see it too, to be honest. There's a lot of good, you know, background stuff. Again, good faces. It was really nice of them to include a mini-comic when they really didn't have to with this. Anyway, let's get into the actual accessories. Let's start off with Skilled Skeleton. He does actually have swappable hands. It's a little bit tight, though. Honestly, I don't even want to try it, but hang on, let me do it off camera for a sec so I have more control. Woo, that is some hard plastic. Okay. Glow-in-the-dark plastic is a lot harder than the softer plastic they use for the regular figures. You get two... I wish I could call these holding hands, but they're not actually sculpted to hold anything. But they're supposed to be holding hands, but they don't hold, which is annoying. But you do get two open hands. And two rock hands, which don't really want to show up super well. I mean, even with focus, they're still glow-in-the-dark plastic. You can barely see it. I'm going to be putting these on him because they're funny. Also, I do want to point out, he is a little bit top-heavy, so it's a little bit of a pain to get him to stand up. He's been behaving surprisingly well for the review, honestly. Also, I'm not going to try and take it apart to find out, but it kind of feels like the skull is a full mold that's shoved in here. Like, looking at where it stops, I'm thinking you might be able to pull the head out. I don't want to try it, and I don't recommend you try it, but it kind of looks like it's molded that way. Also, the little Skeletor chest piece has a little divot that goes in between the shoulder blades to keep it straight, which is funny. Anyway, as for Skeletor, he does have the VeeFriends necklace, which is a real chain, but it's plastic. The nubs on it are unbelievably sharp, by the way. Feels like I'm going to cut myself on any of these. Also, the inside, it's not the... like, it's a little bit tight. I'm not really sure how this was molded, but some of the joints don't really want to move very much. It's a nice little accessory, but the chain itself feels a little cheap. You also get the Filmation Power Sword in purple, with a slight bend due to the packaging. My friend got one of these too, and his was a lot worse off than mine. So keep that in mind. Also, I see a little flash on that. This is actually a good time to bring up, this is not painted. As far as I can tell, this is injection plastic. And I want to know how they did that, because this is the best looking purple I've ever seen. Like, there's a very, very slight amount of swirl in some of the areas, which is how I can tell that it's injection and not painted. But this is the smoothest metal flake I've ever seen in a plastic. It looks incredible. I thought this was painted from the promotional images. Granted, the promotional images probably were painted, but this looks identical to them. It's really easy to tell here. This is really, really good metal flake. Which is especially surprising when you look at the silver and you can tell that it's definitely not the best metal flake. I don't know what they did for this purple, but you should do this going forward. It looks incredible. Also, you do get the Filmation Havoc staff. Again, slightly bent due to the packaging, but oh well. The ram head is a separate piece, which I think could be removable if you really yanked on it, but I don't really want to test that theory. Skeletor does come with two holding hands by default. Get this in this one at least. This hand is fine. This one, Oh, now it wants to be fun. When I first took this out, this wrist was, like, unbelievably loose. I don't know why it's not loose now. Maybe if I put the heavier Havoc staff in there, it'll show it. Yeah. Yerp. Yerp. Still not as loose as when I first took it out, but it's not great. Skeletor does also have additional hands. The heart hands, which are hilarious, but also really, really useful neutral hands. You can use these for a lot. He does have really well-detailed nails, which is kind of funny. And it just occurred to me, these are closer to these in sculpt for the heart hands than they are to the holding hands, which kind of puts in mind, why didn't they just give him actually at least one holding hand for like the sword or the staff, but whatever. And you do also get his own rock hand, which is honestly half the reason I wanted this. Annoyingly, they didn't include a left one. Just right. But they included left and right for the little guy. Would it really have broke the bank that much to add one extra hand, guys? Especially when you could have just, mirrored the CAD file for this to make another one. Whatever. Finally, this Skeletor, not the retail one, has swappable faces. Though I'll be honest, looking at how this is attached, you could probably just crack whatever glue is holding the retail one on. This is horrifying, by the way. This is nightmare fuel. I don't know. Terrifying sculpt. Also, there's little specks of black on these, but easy enough to take off with like a toothpick. It's more just a slight irritation than anything. You get the one that the retail is going to have, the normal, just grin, like the angry face. Then you get two more funny ones, which is focus. Yeah, the smiling face from the Christmas special, and this one, which is used for a meme a lot, which is sort of horrified. All these just fit on, and I'll be completely honest, rather than the random accessories they gave the retail ones, I kind of wish they all just had alternate faces and hands, instead of like a mask or a box or a staff from the show. Like, it would have been much cooler to have different facial expressions, especially with Filmation having such reused animation. You probably could include like 3 alternate faces for everyone, and that would be most of their expressions in the show. Just feels like a missed opportunity. And since I'm sure a lot of people want to see this, the comparison between the Origins, well, this is the 2.0 of the original Skeletor, but it is still the Origins sculpt, compared to the new Filmation one, very different proportions, and very different proportions with the Havoc staff too. I mean, obviously the ram is a lot bigger, but just the whole thing is larger. Even the ball in the end is slightly bigger. But the Filmation ones stand a bit straighter. There's less of a bend there. Obviously the sculpt is a bit slimmer. The chest is weirdly slightly, very, very slightly taller, but much more narrow, and it lets the arms sit more flush to the chest. The hip piece is very barely changed. They just got rid of the 3 circles on the front, which I don't really want to rip these guys apart just to show that, but yeah. Not that it matters on Skeletor anyway, since it's covered, but it is a slight change. Pretty sure they're just straight up reusing the hands, though. I don't think that sculpt is different, though the Skeletor doesn't come with an open hand, so I'm not really sure. The holding hand, anyway, looks completely identical. And one final thing, man, the lighting really... the auto brightness kind of went crazy right now, but it does show off that the blue is very slightly different on the Filmation one. This one's just a hint more cool blue, and this one's a little bit more sky blue. It is like half a shade difference. They look very similar. And as for a quick size comparison, I mean, The main buck is the same size as the regular Origins one. The little VeeFriends guy is tiny. He's like the size of a Funko Pop. Kind of the same proportions too, thinking about it. I mean, it's just chibi, but still. So, to wrap this review up, I'm very happy with this. I'm sure it's not worth whatever it's going for on the aftermarket, but I like this a lot. This Skeletor is probably my new favorite Origins figure. I know technically the metallic purple isn't as accurate as the flat purple from the retail release, but I mean, Filmation's pretty campy anyway, so I think the metallic's more fitting, honestly. But the alternate faces and alternate hands are great. Skilled Skeleton's a cute little guy. And the box is really nice. Like, I'm honestly tempted to display it in the box. It's how nice the box is. I'm sure the mainline Filmation Skeletor is going to be pretty good too, but they really should have included the alternate faces and hands. It adds so much to this. And that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Subscribe and hit the bell to be alerted for future reviews. Come chill in the Discord. Follow me on Twitter, if that's even still around. And consider supporting me on Patreon so I can keep bringing you videos like this. And, as always, until next time, happy building.